I did have a little thing that I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about billionaires. They've been on my mind a little bit.
Have been on my mind too.
Okay, good. Um, so just like I think it had been coming into my mind a little bit, and then I got this series of memes that somebody sent me or it popped up on my feed, and it just really confirmed a lot of things. So just now I'm going somewhere with this, but you'll have to bear with me a bit. Because like for me, that you know, the transition from millionaire to billionaire, it's just like, oh, that's somebody who's pretty rich. And over the years, I've kind of went, yeah, millionaire. It used to be like when I was a kid, oh, he's a millionaire. That's it. Like you're just loaded, right? Now it's like, oh, well, yeah, millionaire is not such a big deal. Yeah, people I might know might be millionaires. I'm sure I do know a few millionaires. It's not like they tell me, but it seems like it's much more possible. And billionaires is kind of just gone to where the millionaire bracket was. Okay. But that is not actually true because a billion is such a big number we can't get our head around it, right? So just to and kind of quote from some of these meme things because I found it very helpful. So 1 million seconds, right, is 11 days. Okay, 1 billion seconds is 32 years. Okay, that's just so I was like, whoa, okay, that's a lot. um, so if you earned 50 million, and this is all dollars, $50 million in your lifetime, you'd consider yourself rich. I know I would. 50 million, that's a lot, okay? But you'd still be 950 million away from being a billionaire. Okay. So that's like, oh, okay, 900. All right. That's a lot more than I was. Yeah. Okay. That's a lot. Um, so that's just to sort of help get your head around the billionaire thing, right? Now, there's this common thing about the gap between the rich and the poor, and how that is increasing, right? And uh, so at the moment, the world's top 26 billionaires, they own as much wealth as the poorest 3.8 billion people. So 26 people have as much wealth as 3.8 billion other people. Okay, so that's a lot. Okay. Um, Billionaires got $565 billion richer during the pandemic. Okay. They, on average, made 42 billion a week. Okay. So that's a lot. That's a lot of those 32 years of seconds. Okay. Um, the number of billionaires is going up. Okay. So, so is a very small number of people have a lot of wealth. Okay. And you could say, well, they're pretty charitable. They donate money, don't they? Okay. So I've kind of been focusing on Jeff Bezos because he's the biggest billionaire. I think he just crossed into 200 billion a couple of weeks ago. Okay. So he made headlines for donating 100 million to Feeding America in April. Which is great, like 100 million to help feed people. That's fantastic. The thing is, though, he makes $215 million every day. And he's probably making more now because this is old, by it's going so fast now, right? Or Bill Gates donated 589 billion to charity in 2019, which is brilliant, like $589 million. That's brilliant, right? That what he actually donated was 0.6% of his 98 billion net worth. Okay. So in that context, it's not that much at all, really. Um, okay. Just quickly scanning through this. Now, there's just a few other things. The headline on this one is "Billionaires truly do not give a fuck." Okay, it's a slightly inflammatory kind of thing, but this is kind of what struck me. Right, it would cost $20 billion to end homelessness in the U.S. Right, um, Mike Bloomberg could do that tomorrow and still have 28 billion to his name. Okay, so he's obviously worth 48 million. So he could give 20 billion, or what? I'm mixing them up. It costs 20 billion to feed the homeless in America, to end homelessness in America, to end it. Like, that's amazing. 20 billion. And Mr. Bloomberg could do that and he'd still have 28 billion left. Okay. Halting global warming would cost 300 billion. I don't know how they arrived at that figure. Oh, hang on, it says sources for Center for American Progress, Bloomberg, Forbes, World Billionaire List. Okay, so it looks like these are fairly reliable. Okay, so ending or halting global warming, 300 billion. Okay, it's a lot of money, but that's what it would cost. Okay, so the world's 10 richest people could each throw in 30 billion each and still have 386 billion left among themselves. Okay, which is amazing. Okay, so that's just to sort of put a little bit of figures around it and get our head around it a bit. So, um, so there's a very few, like limited or small number of people who have the capacity to do a huge amount of good. Okay. So as I say, I focused on Jeff Bezos because just billionaires, it's just, they're all bastards, or, it's too broad. It's too dehumanizing. So I watched a couple of interviews with Jeff Bezos. And I mean, in that series of memes, of course, they were saying they're all disingenuous. They don't really care. And it's all just PR. Um, Now, that may be true, but I just did not get that feeling from Jeff Bezos. I got a much stronger feeling that Jeff Bezos, like the rest of us, thinks he's great. I mean, like I would consider myself reasonably humble. And yet I know myself well enough to know that if I'm telling you a story about me or something I did in my life, I'm going to look good in that story. I am going to come across well, okay, with the best of intentions. Even if I tell you all the gory details, even if I tell you all the terrible, things I might have done in an incident, and I'm trying to be really honest with you, I still will slip in those, little justifications. Here's why I behaved badly, and because to myself, I, want to look good. I think we all do. Okay. So I don't think it's any different with Jeff Bezos. I don't, even though, funnily enough, Jeff Bezos does look a little bit like Austin Powers, the Doctor Evil character. But that's, he doesn't, I'm almost sure he does not think he's an evil man, right? Or he's doing anything wrong. Okay. And yet, like, he could end, homelessness in America and still have a lot of billions left, right? He could go a long way towards halting climate change, um, and still keep a bit like on one of the documentaries I saw. He owns all these different homes all over the place, and whenever I see somebody owning more than one home, immediately I come to that thing of, a rich man can own many palaces, but he can only be in one room at a time. I've always remembered that. It's something very true about that. So, so there's Jeff thinking he's doing a great job, and it's like most things that um, damage a lot of people is that nobody thinks that it's that they're doing a bad thing. Like, okay, just hold all that now while I go off on a little bit of a tangent, but I will come back. Like, there's a lot of concern at the moment about AI. And is AI going to kill us all? Is it going to, they talk about the singularity, which is where artificial intelligence becomes conscious. And then, it's like that movie Terminator. Suddenly they all start talking to each other and either nuke us or enslave us. And suddenly we're all in the matrix. We're all just batteries. So there's, who's it? Elon Musk. He's very concerned about it, and he's pretty smart. Like he would probably know a lot more about AI than I do. And he's very concerned. And then there's other people who are not concerned. But for me, it's like, but sure, it's kind of happened already. It's just not the way we think it because, like, corporations are artificial intelligence. They operate in the same way that we're afraid of that computer artificial intelligence is operating, and it's a lot to do with distance, you know because you say, well, what's a corporation? Well, I mean, corporations have been given their own legal entity, so technically they are, you if okay, they're not conscious, but there's separation, and as soon as you can get some separation, you can start to separate from responsibility. And it's like, oh, well, like most of the damage that's being done is being done by corporations. I think, like we're all buying electric cars and recycling. And I think 70% or higher of all the damage that's being done to the planet, it's being done by like 100 corporations. This is my representation for 100, 5 fingers. But yeah, it's only 100 corporations. Okay. So that's not to say we shouldn't recycle and do all the things that we're doing, but you have to sort of face what's really happening as well, that there's huge corporations that are doing it. And it's like, oh, it's the corporations, but corporations are just made up of people. Like, but we've separated away from them. We've separated ourselves from them so that there's a sort of feeling of, oh, well, I'm not the bad guy here. No. It's a corporation. It's some other thing. I remember seeing a documentary about a village in Africa that was owned by another little village in Switzerland, and um, the village in Africa or area in Africa produced something, let's say cotton or palm oil or something, right? And they're all, the level of poverty is quite low the level of poverty is quite high in this area in Africa. And obviously it's not in Switzerland. Everyone's having a lovely time. And something came up where the village asked the people in Switzerland who owned the land if they could do some like irrigation project. It was going to cost a certain amount of money, which would have meant that the people in Switzerland didn't get their dividend that year. I think it wasn't a big amount now, like it wasn't, for 20 years or anything like that, just, that year. So Switzerland has a version of direct democracy. So they were able to, this town in Switzerland that owned the land in Africa, they heard all the information, and it would have made a big difference to the people in Africa. Like I was watching it going, oh, well, that's great. Like they just, give them the money and it's going to, they get the irrigation system and, no one's going to die and it'll be brilliant. Um, so they voted in Switzerland and they voted not to give them the money. I couldn't believe it. But like on reflection, it was like the distance was way too big. If they'd all had to go to Africa and be in the area and see it, I'm sure it would have gone differently. Because they're all in their lives in Switzerland and like, oh, I was going to make that kitchen extension with the money for this year. And oh, no, I don't know. Do we really need to do that? Anyway, they didn't, Hang on, someone's got a question. What do these people have in common besides being billionaires? Well, I think that something like 44% of them inherit the billions. So I can only imagine what inheriting that much money would do to your brain. So I don't know about that 44. But I know Jeff, my new best friend Jeff, didn't inherit his. He grew it up. Five. You're saying, hang on, Emma. What are you're waving at me now?
Yeah, yeah. I just wanted to say
Right?
something. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, go
No,
on.
I just think it's interesting. I googled top billionaires in the world to see right now who we're getting, right? Because I don't know them personally. Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, Larry Ellison, Bernard Arnold, Larry Page, Michael Bloomberg, Charles Koch, David Koch, Jim Walton, Rob Walton, Alice Walton. What do they have in common besides inheriting money and having a shitload of money? They're male, they're white. Being
Yeah.
good is tied to this. This is, to me, is being tied to what we call today in 2020 white supremacy. And the
Possibly.
whole, yeah, maybe, possibly. I'm just sharing my opinion.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Um, because the reality of it today, if I Google top billionaires in the world, I may see one woman, I may see one person of color here and there. And it seems to resonate with this model that we've been operating under for so long, holding standard as the good standard. And everybody has fallen under this, like, oh, I feel good. I feel good. Why? You know, what makes me look like a good person? Oh, I give money to charity. I'm a good person. So I think it's interesting that nobody talks about that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think that side of it is definitely, yeah, it's a product of lots of unconsciousness in our society. And there's not a huge amount I can do about that. Okay. But there, where I was, where I'm heading, right, with it is that, yeah, I mean, you're right about the white middle-aged guys. We've pretty much taken over the world. But um, again, just focusing on Jeff Bezos, because I can't focus on them all, because each of them they're different. They're different kind of people. But just, and probably because Jeff is the biggest, right? Um, and this idea that um, in when Jeff looks in the mirror, he thinks he's doing a great job. Okay, so somewhere in Jeff, there's got to be a huge amount of um, I was going to say cognitive dissonance. I'm not sure if that's the right expression, but there's a big gap between what is actually happening and what he thinks is happening. So I think the what is a terrible thing in one way, the fact that so few people have hoarded so much money, because they have hoarded it. Like, they've got so much money that they couldn't spend it in their lifetime. Okay, so if you can't spend it, if you can't, you got more money than you can spend in your lifetime, then you're hoarding it. Okay, so they've hoarded huge amounts of money. So if you think about, say, every terrible thing that's happened, the people who did it, they didn't get up in the morning and go, I'm going to do a terrible thing today. Okay, not unless they've got mental problems or a psychopath or something like that. Most people who did terrible things said, yes, it's a hard thing, but it's for a greater good. So they sort of felt like they were doing good. Okay. And it seems like one of the things that I've seen this myself with people, it's one of the downsides of success, is that when you become successful by whatever standards, it's very easy to feel like you were the cause of it. You made yourself successful. Okay. Um, so it doesn't matter whether that's through real estate, writing, art, filmmaking, online entrepreneurship, doesn't matter. If you start to become successful, meaning, the world kind of agrees with you, then you start to feel like that you made it happen. I saw it particularly in the 2008 crash here. There were a lot of property developers here who were very wealthy on paper and who were very confident, very cocky. I'm self made man or woman, mostly men. And I did it, and it's about goals, and all you have to do is, and then they just love to tell you how to sort your life out at the drop of a hat. Then the crash came, and my God, it was just so shocking for them because all the reasons that they thought they were doing so great suddenly weren't there anymore, and they were just lost. Okay. So, from going back now to what we're talking about out of existence. So, I've been tuning into the old billionaires and reaching out to them, not invasive, not doing anything, but just trying to get a sense of them, right? And they're all very lost, like seriously lost, because uh, they're so detached from their heart and their soul. And I don't mean their heart in a kind of, hearts and flowers, hallmark kind of heart thing, but just like the sort of heart of passion and of vitality and of, um, when you look in the mirror, that you um, can feel the vitality of your being kind of radiating back at you. They're very far removed from that, and and very unconscious of it. So because to become that wealthy, it means you could really believe in existence. Like you really have to buy into it. You really have to, go into it hardcore. And the thing is, that it's in as much as, like I've talked about, either everything is random or everything is significant. Um, I can't see how, like most people will kind of, even people who are like, no, it's all random, they don't allow for the possibility of some bits are random and some bits aren't. And I think that's right. I think it's either one or the other. Either everything's random or everything is significant. Now, from my perspective, everything is significant. So it's the same. It's like either life uh, knows what it's doing or it doesn't. I don't think there's a middle ground in that. You can't like have, this is an aberration. Life's mostly gone on top of things, but then over there it's lost the plot or that's out of control. So, from my perspective, life has made the billionaires, made the situation. Everything is as it should be. Okay, that's not to say it's good, but everything is like life is behind the whole thing. Okay, so these people are bearing the burden of that unconsciousness at the moment. Um, and the good thing is that it's not like there's a whole country causing a problem. It's not like, for example, China. I don't know what the population of China is, but I think it's a couple of billion. It's not like, oh, the whole Chinese population is causing a lot of trouble. It's not. It's only like 100 people or even one person. Like Jeff Bezos could change things significantly, right? In lots of ways. He has that. Um, he has he's accumulated so much wealth that he could do a lot of really good things. So from our perspective, that's great because we can help Jeff out of existence, help Jeff become more conscious. Okay. And I don't mean that in an invasive way, like we barge into Jeff behind existence and go, right, we're going to sort you out. But Jeff is like when Emma asked what do they have in common, what immediately popped into mind is, well, they're all human beings. That's what they have in common. They're all human beings who, like, if you look in the mirror and you have convinced yourself that you're doing good, it means that somewhere you know what good is. And I don't mean good in a Sunday school kind of way, in a prescribed way, but just your own sweet nature, goodness, that kind of thing. Because, as I say, I've watched a few interviews with Jeff, and he's either a great actor, which I don't think he is, or he genuinely has affection for his family and his kids. And in his mind, he has great affection for people and doing the right thing. And so it's there. Like the seeds of it are there. The same way as the seeds of it are in everybody. So he can it's there, and you can focus on that because that's not invasive. That's There's no, like, with like, I don't work on people who don't ask me to, even though well, I've never tried, but I don't know if you could or not. I have, someone has asked me to help somebody else. I've done that. So it is possible to tune into somebody else and help. But then, like, how I work is I make myself available. Like, somebody was asking me during the week, how do you find me out of all the, someone I work with? They were like, how do you find me out of all the millions and people, billions of people on the planet? How are you able to tune into me and work with me? And it's like, oh, sorry, hang on. That's very interesting you say that, because that's exactly the sense I got when I tuned into Bill Gates, that he's thinking that he's doing the right thing and he wants to be a good person. Is that what you mean? Um, so yeah, what was I saying? I was saying about working with people. It's never a case of, I am going to barge in there and fix you. It's always a case of, I sort of, and when I was explaining to this person how I find people, is I don't find them. I'll sort of let them find me. Okay. Because I've talked to them. We've been talking on the video. And then I sort of, we turn off the cameras, and then I close my eyes and I start to work, and they come to me. I don't go towards them. They just come to me. So it's they find me, right? And in the same way, I can hold the intention, and you can hold the intention, and we're going to in a minute, hold the intention for Jeff Bezos, and he will find us, because it sounds ridiculous to say it for someone who's like got $200 billion, but that is like, he's very lost. He's a very lost person. And like the rest of us, is trying to become more conscious. And if you're part of the group and I've worked with you, you'll know that it's very powerful. Like, it is very possible to help from distance. And yeah, you might have a different level of experience to me, or you might have a different level of familiarity with working in this way. But that's what I meant. Yeah, he felt lost. Yeah. Yeah, but you can still do it. Okay. So that kind of turns the whole thing, right? Because the thing is, right, every night Jeff Bezos disappears into the mystery, just like you and me, right? That's no different. And out of existence, Jeff is just the same as you and me. Okay. But in existence, he has got a lot of unconsciousness to deal with. So because I don't have that pressure, I don't have $200 billion. Like, if you've ever had little fantasies about winning the lottery, if you've ever actually thought it through beyond the little party, and the little, oh, I'd buy that thing and fix that other thing. Like, particularly if it's a lot of money, like here we have the Euro Millions. I don't know in America or other countries, but there's Euro Millions here, which is always in the hundreds of millions. And it's, there's a thing, they did a study of people, and I think it's in America, it's $70,000. Beyond $70,000 a year, if you make $80,000, it doesn't make you 10% happier. If you make double that, if you make $140,000 a year, it doesn't make you 50% happier. It stops at 70,000. Beyond that, doesn't make you happier, right? This is There's been loads of studies to show that, right? That beyond a certain amount, you just don't get happier with more money. Okay, so just imagine, imagine like what it must be like for Jeff, where it's like I am the richest man on the planet. Like literally, I am the richest. There's nobody else who's richer at the moment. Okay, so I'm the richest man on the planet. So I should be really happy. And I'm sure he's not. And I'm super successful, and I'm sure he could distract him. He's got lots of distractions, and we're going to go into. I just got a thing from Amazon about something they're going into to do with podcasting. Amazon Music, right? We're going to go into music, and we're going to do this. That'd be very distracting. But behind all that, he'd be like, what's happened? Like, how did I end up here? I was just going along trying to be successful and trying to be successful and trying to be successful. And now I'm the wealthiest man on the planet. And, you know, he's going to die like everyone else is going to die. He dies every night like we do. Like he goes to sleep, he gets. So with your knowledge of out of existence, we can help. Like you can actually have a tangible. We just did the tangible, right? You can feel it. You can have a tangible impact in a situation where it's very easy to feel powerless. And I'm not just saying that to just, make myself feel better or make you feel better. Like, oh yeah, we're just the slaves on a tea break and the pharaohs, Jeff up on the top of the pyramid, and we've got to move this big stone up there. And, I'm just sort of trying to make us all feel a bit better about that. No, I don't think so at all. Because in a weird way, out of existence and even in existence, I feel kind of sorry for him, because I can imagine what it would be like to be that um, not disconnected, but that out of phase with myself. That on the one hand, my little heart was wanting to be good and do good, and yet I've hoarded this huge amount of wealth, and I'm buying these, huge mansions for crazy amounts of money that I know that I could help so many people with. Somewhere I know that. Okay. So, what I've been doing and what I encourage you to do is include the billionaires just generally, because there's not a lot of them. You can pick one if you like. I just happen to pick Jeff. Um, he's actually like, there's something about Bill Gates that I just don't really resonate with. It's hard for me to have warm feelings towards him. But with Jeff, he just has a nice kind of cherubic face, and he just seems like it's easier for me to connect with the compassion I would have for him. So pick a billionaire, or you can pick Jeff if you like, and let's do a little meditation, just because we're going to wrap up soon. So if you just close your eyes again, and again, just pull back from your senses a little bit, pull back out of existence. So, as we were saying, you're in existence and you're out of existence, both at the same time. You're with the group, you're with the rest of us, you're connected with us all now. Okay, even if you're watching this on video, you're still connected with us. Okay, there's a strong connection. And I can tell you, and I'm not just making this up, I can feel you all a lot stronger this second time we've connected. Okay, so that's good. Now, just for the purposes of this group, we will kind of act as one. Okay, you can have your favorite billionaire that you can work with later, but for now, let's just focus on Jeff. Okay. So as a group, because together we're actually, the sum of us all together is way more than just individually. So together as a group, we are very strong. You can reach your arms out if you want, if that helps you connect. Okay. And if you bring Jeff Bezos, just get a sense of Jeff. Okay. And again, don't be invasive. You're not looking for the unconscious part of him. You're looking for his sweet nature, like your sweet nature, goodness, not in a Sunday school way, but just his essence of who he is. Okay. And start off by just waving. So don't try and do anything. All you're doing is acknowledging his presence with your loving presence. That might not seem like a lot, but it's very powerful. You're kind of, in a non judgmental way, you're just walking along beside him. You're not trying to make friends with him. You're not trying to help him. You're not trying to do anything except be with him and let him know that you're there. And when I say you, I mean us, that we're there. So, in a way, we're kind of all around him, but not surrounding him, just with him, seeing the being in there doing its best, just like your being is in there doing its best with the unconsciousness that you've taken on. Uh, he's in there doing his best with the unconsciousness that he's taken on to refine. And you're just being a bit of company with him. We are all being a bit of company with him on the way. And that you have a sense of availability, that you're available for him, the totality of him, unconscious, conscious, the whole lot, that you're available for it, for him, for whatever he wants. If he needs anything, or if he's struggling with something, or if he. And you're just with him, just gently smiling, yeah, waving if you feel like it, not frantically, but just waving in acknowledgement that you see him, that you see that he's another being like the rest of us, and that we recognize him, the being that he is, the part of him that's right in there, same way as it's right in us. And we just stay with that for a minute, because if you do this on your own, you can, like, in my experience, it doesn't always happen, but most times it does happen, that things begin to happen. And they can be as varied, even with the same person, just day to day, it can change and be different. But even just doing this, just coming in, bringing his presence, connecting with him, being with him, has a big impact. And then, as I say, if you do this on your own, it will be different. Things will change or not. But it's a lovely practice to do. As I say, you can pick other billionaires to work with. All right. So you can just leave that there. You can just stay with them and open your eyes, or you can withdraw from them and open your eyes. So that is a lovely thing to do, and I would encourage you to do it. Um, I think it's better if you pick one person to focus on, but you can just pick the just billionaires in general. The more human you can make it, the more you connect. So that's why I say pick somebody. Someone has said, I hope he gives us an Amazon coupon for this, which is great. And somebody else says, I think I read that he thought Amazon had a 30% chance to succeed. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't have the business side of it. And I know that kind of wealth goes up and down. It's very much affected by the stock market. But either way, as I say, 11 days, is a million seconds. 32 years is a billion seconds. Even if things go badly for him, he can still do a lot of good. Okay, so yeah, I'd encourage you to do that. Include them in your meditations. It will make a big difference. And those the good side of there being all that wealth being focused on so few people. Obviously, it's not great. It's not a good thing. But currently, just the way the situation is, it is focused on those few people. So it means that those few people can have a big impact very quickly. So doing this kind of work can help a lot.